Now we are live on YouTube for the pre-show pre-stuff. We're gonna start the show in about 5 minutes. Hello, YouTube.
Hi, YouTubers. My computer was going ring, ring,
Oh,
ring.
you know what? I should bring up a chat room too, just in case. I know not a lot of people use it, but what the hell? We should have it, right? Do chat. This is our pre-show bullshit.
Yep.
Open moderator chat, new window, launch chat. And we wait. Connecting dot.
This sucks. I can't do anything right today.
Okay, chat room's up. You know what I should do, actually? I should put the link to the chat room up, too.
You should.
I should.
You should.
I'm a nice guy that way. About 4 minutes to show. Do. And I'm not even recording this part, so this is all exclusive behind-the-scenes content.
Wow.
I know, right? Like for our Patreon people.
That we don't have.
We don't have. But we do have a cause for you to donate to.
That's what I was going to say. We can mention that.
Okay, posted that. Got to share it. I'm so good at this stuff, right?
Right?
Isn't that the worst is when you start a show, it's like, oh man, I think I have to poo.
Well, if you have to poo, you should poo.
No. Because then you would have to do the beginning of the show.
Yeah, we
all by
want that.
yourself. I'll sit here and make faces. Okay. Chat room's up. Kicking in Audacity. We are recording from now. Check. Next stage. Hello? Hello? Sorry, it's ringing. It's just a funny.
Start your show now, press 1. To hear important instructions.
Yeah.
Your show is scheduled to start in 1 minute 59 seconds.
Really?
She's got a cute voice, that lady.
You think?
Yeah, I think so. Anyways, we're about to go. We're almost to go time.
Who's excited?
This guy.
When are you going to record?
Oh, it's recording now.
Oh, I thought you said it was exclusive content.
It was until I said I'm hitting record now.
Oh, I didn't hear that part.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you're deaf in one
No,
ear.
it's true. And wearing headphones.
Do we need light?
We might. Let me flip it on. This is one of the rare times of the year we actually start the show with daylight.
Right.
Yeah. So actually, by next month we probably won't have to. It's a twist off, dear.
Oh yeah.
1 minute until showtime.
What?
Yeah, I know, right? That's so funny.
Not funny.
Just hope I don't shart.
Bill, don't shart. Did you turn the ringer off on your phone? Oh, you don't even know it's in here.
Yeah, my phone is right there, but I think the ringer is off.
Apparently, it was found on the floor.
It fell on the floor.
Yeah.
Oh, I had a missed call.
From who?
Telemarketer. I recognize the number they call so damn often.
Wow.
Better. I'll make it to Bible.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4,
I
3,
don't have it up.
2, 1. Blog Talk Radio.
Science and technology.
Overnight, got a good in her pocket, radiation of the brain, aspiratium and polonium. She discovers them and gives them their name. Marie Curie.
Welcome to the bar room. I'm Bill here with my co-host Susie.
Hi, everybody.
How we doing, Suze? It's been a little while since we did a cool show.
I'm doing good. I'm excited. Lots of cool stuff going on today.
You betcha.
How are you doing, Bill?
I'm doing great. I just want to well, we'll check it out later. Don't know that this show is actually working very well, but so if we're having technical difficulties, you should call and let us know that we're having technical difficulties. That would be friggin' awesome. Our number is 713-955-0575. See, you know what happened? We have this granddaughter who's 2 years old, and she was, in fact, fucking with the switches on my mixer. So
That's
shit might have
awesome.
got switched that wasn't supposed to get switched, and that's a bad thing.
That's cool, though. It's very cool.
First of all, as promised, this is a shout out to Bobby and Ashley C of No Religion Required, who are waiting to board. They're waiting for a train.
Aw.
They're not busted flat. They're not in Baton Rouge, but they are waiting for a train to come here, to come right here to this room
Where?
and drink with us.
Yeah, and
Well, Ashley will drink with us.
I like to plug other shows, especially this one. So on Wednesday, No Religion Required will be live from the Barroom
From the Barroom.
Atheist Studio.
Right, we could even put them up on our YouTube feed if we want.
And you can see them.
You can
It'll be
actually
fun.
see them. That would be hilarious.
I should have Ashley pretty drunk by then.
Yeah, you might indeed. So it's been a little while. We did our post ReasonCon show. It was the last one we did, and we got some news after ReasonCon. I'm putting this right up front,
Okay.
near and dear to my heart. Listener Eric
Yeah.
found out that he has stage 4 cancer. We put a link out on our Facebook page to their GoFundMe, which tells the whole story in a better way than I can.
It is an
That is
excellently written.
extremely well written. I recommend that everybody get on there and read the whole thing because it's beautiful. His kids wrote it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the kids wrote it. Anyway, the story is we've known them through all the ReasonCons. They have breakfast with us on the last day
They did.
every year.
Yeah.
Every time we've gone. So they have breakfast with us on the last day at Golden Corral.
Uh-huh.
And it's funny because I got a call on this last trip, and I wasn't sure who it was. I was like, "Hey, Bill, you going to Golden Corral?" So it was Eric. And, as soon as we started driving over there, it clicked. I was like, "Oh, crap, that's who that was." Because we have breakfast with them
Yeah,
every
because we
year.
were going for breakfast no matter who we were going
Right,
to see.
Right, but they've been there every time, and they actually made the time to call us and ask us to go to breakfast with them on the last day, which meant a lot to me. Actually, it was really cool. And yeah, it turns out he's got a tough road.
Funny though, well, not funny, but not funny now. But he even mentioned he had a little cough.
Yeah,
He had a little cough at ReasonCon when he left,
yeah, and it's
and then he went to the doctor, and now they're telling him that unless he gets treated, he's only got like 2 months to live.
yeah, and he and his wife Donna, they're truck drivers. They're a team. They
Right.
do long hauls across the country. So if he's not working, neither
Then
of them.
she's not working.
Um,
So they could use all the help that our listeners could get, because we don't ask for money for ourselves. We don't do a Patreon
ever.
and we don't ever ask for any kind of money for ourselves. But if you're listening and you have it in your heart to help out these people who are probably going to go through the worst time ever that anyone would ever imagine,
Yeah,
it's Eric.
Show the love. Is what
It's
I'm saying.
Eric Engelstead.
Yeah.
And you can get it from my Facebook page, from Bill's Facebook page, from GoFundMe itself.
And it will be on a copy of the show notes if you're listening for our iTunes feed. It'll be on there as well. I'll make sure there's a copy of the link.
Yeah, we want to help them out as much as we can because
So-
they're good people.
And if you still can't figure out how to do it, send us an email, send up a smoke signal. We will help you get the money to them.
Right.
But yeah, because we never ask for ourselves, but when something comes up, that's what we'd rather you put your money towards. So, anyways, so we should actually do a show too.
We should. Hey, I wanted to mention there's somebody in our chat room.
There's people in the chat room. Oh my goodness!
Just one, it looks like.
Well, hello, Secular Yakking. Welcome to the chat room. See, I don't usually have the chat room up, so I don't see it.
That's
That's
because
her job.
well, and nobody ever goes in it.
And, yeah,
so
usually
thank
there's
you
no
for
one in
being there.
Yeah. So Susie can feel free to type a question or something if you have one, and Susie will relay it to me, and I'll answer it, or she'll answer it because she's smarter than I am. All right, a show. Yeah, news.
The show.
I call this show is called "Don't Punch Nazis or Reporters." Right? Look, what's with the freaking violence?
I don't know, babe.
It's not good. It doesn't matter who's getting the violence. It's not good. It's ungood. It's double plus ungood. 1984 reference there for those of you into the classics. I got some audio. I want to start with an oldie but a goodie. Coach Dave Daubenmeier.
Oh, goody.
I want you guys to hear what level the violence is getting to and the rhetoric is getting to. Because he does talk about the incident that I was talking about. And it always takes a little bit to get that first audio clip up just because. And seriously, it's not coming up. What
I'm
the
not
hell?
crazy. There's a hair on my microphone. Must be more kid
I
messing.
remember about a year ago, maybe it's a little bit longer now. I was listening to Michael Savage, a Savage Nation. He's not saved. He's not even close to saved. But Savage, a lot of times, will go to the scriptures and read the scriptures. I think he's a non-practicing Jew, but he's smart enough to go to the Bible, and because of the wisdom that's in the Bible. And I'll never forget what he said. It just kind of, again, one of those arrows hit me right in the face.
See, already shit's hitting him in the face. The level of violence.
He said this: the only thing that's going to save America is a more militant Christianity. Wow. From the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of God suffers violent, and violent men take it by force. And as much as listen, fellas, as much as we don't like it, Bible's full of violence, full of it.
I will.
Well, at least he's right there.
Yeah, the Bible is full of it. Yes, it is. It's full of it. And violence as well. And yep, I'm pretty sure that my stuff is not recording here. I sure hope it's going out. But all right, if anybody's listening and you can't hear the clips, please let me know somehow. Call in, whatever.
Our call-in number is 713-955-0575 if you're interested.
Yeah, because we had this problem once before and I corrected it. But like I said, granddaughter.
Breaks things.
Yeah. Anyway, so here we go. What Dave said was the Bible's full of violence, so therefore we should have violence. Yay. That's awesome. Let me go ahead and play some more of this shit because you're not going to like it.
It's just full of it. The thing that separates the Bible from everything else is that the Bible teaches violence as a last resort. But it does teach us that there's a time for violence. There's a time for war. There is a time for war. And you look at all the crap that the disciples went through. And you look at all the crap that's going on around America, even today, the violence against Christianity. And the only thing that's going to save, Christianity is not going to fail. The only thing that's going to save Western civilization is a more aggressive, as Savage said, more violent Christianity.
Okay, well, like I said, I hope people can hear those clips, but yep, something's messed up. Riley hit a button somewhere. Anyway, what he said was he's hoping that the only thing that's going to save America is a more violent Christianity. That's like having a case of hemorrhoids and saying, well, the best thing for you is to be fucking ass raped by a steel mace with a spiked ball on the end. The fuck, people?
That's not a good like visual.
And neither is a more militant Christianity. More militant. They need a more violent thing. Like, you know, the Muslims are fucking showing them up or some shit. Is really kind of what he's getting at. It's ridiculous, but he goes on. Wait for it.
I don't know if you saw this or not. The media is going crazy over this. Trump walked.
What?
YouTube has the clips, but Blog Talk doesn't. That's what Secular Yakking just said in the chat room.
Really? That's weird.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I'm thinking the only thing I could do is actually a full restart at this point. Well, if you're listening to us on Blog Talk, may want to mute your Blog Talk and switch over to YouTube. You will be able to hear the clips there. Thank you, Secular Yakking, for helping us out there. Yeah, something went haywire. I'll fix it later, but I didn't realize it until we started the show. But anyway, Dave Daubenmire, violence.
Right, more of the clip. You're playing it right now.
Yeah, this next part, he starts talking about Donald Trump. Okay, apparently something happened with Donald Trump at the freaking NATO meeting. Wait,
I saw it.
did you?
Uh-huh.
You actually saw the video clip?
Yeah.
Yeah, no big deal.
In the authority as president of the United States, as the man who's large and in charge, as the man who's paying all the bills against those little wants. Now, I want you to watch. They call for the press conference. You ought to watch the Young Turks and what they said. You ought to watch Maddow and what they say about how he's not presidential and he's rude and he's egotistical. I want you to watch. Trump walks up and he is going to grab one of these leaders, the leader of NATO, I think is the guy. Trump grabs him, puts his hand out, pushes him back, and Trump walks in front of him, walking in authority. The Lord is showing us.
Go.
It was tacky.
It's just tacky Trump shit, though,
right. Because and if you saw it, I mean, it wasn't like violent, and he didn't like hurt him, and he didn't push him hard, but it was, and he put his hand on his shoulder, like, and he said, like, pushed him back a little, and then he got in front of him, and he even did this to his coat,
right,
and stood up in front of everybody, you know, just because he was more important. It was just Trump ego. He's more important than this little guy, so he pushed him out of the way. But it was like he's the big bully on the playground.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Pretty weird, actually.
But I didn't think of it as that big a deal until I saw it, and then I was like, wait, that's like, because you know how sometimes you try to get in between people so you can be somewhere,
right?
He did, but he like actually like walked up behind him, put his hand on his shoulder like this, and like moved him back.
Yo, and can we mention the fact that he's not large and in charge? He's not actually in charge of those people,
right? And
despite what ignoramus is like, Dave Daubenmire.
That was NATO.
The president of the United States is not the ruler of the world. Okay, he's not in charge of everybody, and those people are his equals.
Right.
That's how he treats his equals.
Yes.
If you treat your equals like shit, how do you treat people that are below you in the pecking order?
Right.
That's all I got to say. You know, I mean, it's a pretty fucked up situation. But anyway, so Dave, and I cut out part of his little, yay, Trump's so awesome in this shit because he's so freaking cool and because he's doing. Yeah, I cut some of that out
because they
see how thrilled he is that Trump is bullying other people.
Right. Because he's showing authority.
Yeah, it's called bullying.
It's called being a dick.
Because he doesn't actually have authority over those people.
Being
a
dick.
Picture of the authority we should be walking in. And people outside who are not watching MSNBC and not watching CNN, they're saying, yes, dude, yes, I get it now. 2 nights ago, he, according to reports, he body slammed somebody. Now we know he didn't.
Now suddenly he's talking about the guy from Montana.
He who, right? Okay, yeah. By the way,
flipped, and I don't know why. I don't know whether it was Right Wing Watches Edit, who I got the audio from, or whether he just changed subjects mid-sentence. But
I wanted to add in, by the way, that Secular Yakking says that Trump thinks he is the Lord in a feudal society.
Right, he sure does.
What's a feudal society?
Knights Round Table.
Oh, yeah.
You know, everybody's born into their lair.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree that.
Yeah, that's what he thinks.
See, I just love having the guy in the chat room.
I know you're so thrilled,
It's so
right?
neat.
Right, and you know, we could get calls. It happens sometimes.
Sometimes.
People have called here before. But no, so now he's talking about the guy in Montana all of a sudden.
Yeah, like he didn't switch and say, okay, let's switch over.
And he's saying, oh, well, he say he body slammed the guy, but we know it didn't happen. How the fuck do you know it didn't happen? Were you in the room?
And everybody in the room pretty much said it happened.
It was a fucking Fox News crew that said it happened.
Right.
Okay, so you have no source of news from that room that says it didn't happen. Nobody who was there says it didn't happen.
Right. And they even have audio tape. Do you have that?
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yay.
But unfortunately, fucking audio is not working properly. But yeah, I do have the audio on that.
We know he didn't. But that's what they said. We can't have him. He's not acting like he's a president. He's not acting like a leader. Leaders don't do that kind of. No, he's going down for sure. He's going down. You can't treat people like that. We need to be civil. We know he's going down. What happened? Why, Republican wins Montana election after one night after being charged with assault. People are sick and tired of it.
Why is he so proud of that?
He's so proud that, we're finally getting people to lead us who are guilty of assault.
That's so wrong.
You know, and I'm sorry, but I have to bring this up, and which is why I put the Nazi reference in the front. There are people on the left who who are just mirror images of Dave Daubenmire.
Right.
Who said, yeah, we should be punching those fuckers.
Right.
Well, this is if you supported punching
the Nazi,
you should be supporting body slamming this reporter.
Right.
Right?
Right.
I mean, if you're going to be consistent.
Absolutely.
Okay, because you don't get to choose what viewpoints get body slammed or punched. You know, so if disagreement with a viewpoint, no matter how horrendous that viewpoint, is enough for violence, then you should be supporting this. But you're not.
No.
And you know you're not.
Because
you're not. You're just
not.
Because we know.
They're saying, yes, a fighter. Go, dude, go. That's the times in which we live.
Sick.
And I'm telling you.
What are you telling me, Dave?
That's the heart cry. That should be the heart cry of Christian men.
Yeah, let's be bullies.
Yeah.
That's the cry, right? We want to bully people. And really, isn't that right-wing Christianity's fucking problem? They want to be bullies.
Right.
They're pissed off at all these laws and all this equality shit that doesn't allow them to bully people.
Right.
Okay, because nobody's trying to make you be gay. No one's trying to make you be black. No one's trying to make you be fucking liberal, you asshole. What we're saying is you have to treat all those groups the same.
And they don't want
women
to.
the same. And you just don't want to. So that's what it is. We're interfering with their right to bully, and they get happy when somebody bullies. And that's the problem in a nutshell. And he's calling for a more militant version of Christianity. You know what militant religion looks like? Let's go over it because there was a bomb that went off in Manchester. Okay? Biggest explosion since World War II in England. Okay? Did £750 million worth of damage, which in dollars, that's about $1 billion. Okay. Hundreds injured. So you thought I was talking about Monday. I'm talking about 21 years ago. A bomb went off in Manchester.
Really?
Set off by the Catholics.
Huh.
Because that's what militant Christianity fucking looks like. It looks a lot like militant Islam.
Right.
And we have like real evidence of that. We've seen militant Christianity. Yeah, it was the IRA. You know, bombings in England are not new. It's just a different group doing it now. And, you know, an argument can be made that they're targeting civilians more. But still, violent religious terrorism has been in England for quite some time. It's just that now they're not Christian. So when Dave Daubenmire is calling for militant Christianity, that's what he's calling for. He's calling for Christians to strap on fucking bombs.
You know what?
What?
I wish all I was going to say something violent. Never mind.
No, don't. Because you'll like refute my point. Okay, I've got another clip here. I want to, and this is by a guy named Wayne Root. He's written a bunch of books, and he's a real big time right winger dude. And I think you're going to find this one a little bit interesting as far as what we've been talking about.
Remember,
So,
if you want the clips and you're listening on Blog Talk Radio,
yeah,
it's
flip
acting
over to YouTube.
it's acting wonky. So flip over to YouTube and you can hear the clips.
Yeah, just mute your Blog Talk feed.
We'll have this fixed next week or next show.
Yeah,
but-
you know, like I said, we had a baby that played with my gear, and I'm sorry, but that happens. And I like her better than all of you combined, so I really don't give a shit. But
You're funny.
I do like her that much.
I know. Everybody likes her that much.
She's awesome. Anyway, and you might see her. She might wake up. Who knows? She's sleeping right now. Here, the Root.
We got to fight. We got to fight like animals. You know, Twitter suspended WND's Twitter account today, meaning World Net Daily, a very popular conservative website, because they were mentioning the Seth Rich case. Do you know that Sean?
What? The Seth Rich case. Do you know what the Seth Rich case is? baby?
No.
Let's talk about Seth Rich for a second. Let's take a little break from the audio clip. Basically, if you're still trying to muddle through on Blog Talk, he just said that Twitter had suspended WND because WorldNet Daily because
They
were mentioning
mentioned the Seth
Rich
Rich case.
Seth Rich was a Hillary Clinton staffer during the election, and he was murdered in Washington, D.C.
Oh, yeah. I saw that. Yeah.
Okay. And the conspiracy theory on the right is that, you know, he's the one who leaked the emails, therefore Hillary had him killed.
Yeah. Hey, you sound like one of those preacher dudes.
I know, right? Now, Newt Gingrich told Fox and Friends that Rich was assassinated. And there was a guy whose name was Rod Wheeler. He's a private investigator. And apparently he told Fox that a federal source had found on Rich's laptop the proof that tens of thousands of emails were transferred to WikiLeaks. However, Wheeler said not only he had never seen the emails or the laptop, and he never communicated with the source. He said, hey, this was a miscommunication, and his remarks were inaccurately portrayed.
Lies. He didn't want to say it was a lie.
Well, this is a statement from Fox News
Liars.
on May 23rd of this year, this week.
2 days.
On
3
May
days ago.
16th, a story posted on the Fox News website on the investigation into the 2016 murder of DNC staffer Seth Rich. The article was not initially subjected to the high degree of editorial scrutiny we require for all our reporting. Under appropriate review, the article was found not to meet those standards and has since been removed. We will continue to investigate the story and provide updates as more.
But you know what the problem?
In other words, they're retracting.
Right, but you know what the problem with Fox News is, right? That they're listened to by a lot of stupid, hard-headed Republicans, and once it's out there, they go, "Oh, they just retracted it because some crazy liberal person made them."
Oh yeah, exactly.
It's
yeah.
totally true. They just had to because they were told to.
Well, anyway, so Fox is saying this isn't. There's no substantiation here.
Right.
This is a cock and bull story.
Cock and bull.
And bull. And the pizza place story. You know, remember the pizza place with
Yes.
the child sex ring in the fucking dungeon in the basement?
Yes, it's one of those.
It's one of those. And Fox is saying, hey, you know, we didn't check that story. Sorry. So, yeah, they're suspending. And, yeah.
Yeah, just, yeah.
Hannity's on a forced vacation at Fox News, just like Bill O'Reilly was, because he mentioned the Seth Rich case. Talk about censorship. Republicans are out of their minds. Conservatives are out of their minds. They're all wussies, and they don't understand.
They're wussies because a news outlet will not let their commentators lie.
Right.
Now, you could say a lot about Fox. They do slant the news to the right. I give you that. Well, MSNBC slants it to the left, and CNN, maybe a little left, but mostly middle of the road. My opinion. So solely my opinion here, folks. But they don't outright lie.
Right.
They don't outright make shit up and put it on the major news networks. And when they do, they put a fucking retraction out, as they have done here. So, yes, if Sean Hannity was continuing to talk about this like it was fact, and it's not, then yeah, I'd take him off the fucking air too. Absolutely. The thing is, Fox News does not want to become Alex Jones
I know.
in InfoWars. They want to remain a major news network.
Right.
So they're not going to outright lie. They're not going to let people outright lie. So here we go.
And that we have to fight back so viciously, and we have to boycott every liberal company in this country, and we have to contact every company that advertises on MSNBC and CNN, and every single company that's an ad, the New York Times, target them all. Every company has an ad in the Washington Post, target them. Every company that advertises on liberal websites like Huffington Post and many others.
Now,
Just because Fox News did the right thing.
and Twitter too.
Oh, and Twitter. Fox News and Twitter did the right thing. So therefore, we have to boycott the liberals.
Well, here's the thing. And the websites, if anybody who advertises on their websites, like, you do know that people don't always have control over what ads go on what websites. Like, because I have a lot of friends who have a lot of atheist pages, and Christian shit pops up in their ads.
Yep.
Because that's just the way it works. They don't control it, and the people who are paying for the ads don't really control where it goes. It just goes into a general category, and sometimes, like what? And I think it was somebody was doing a podcast. I think it might have been Andrew Garber was telling me that a Trump ad ended up on his podcast.
That's funny, not funny.
Whatever, because his podcast is in political,
Right.
so they put a Trump ad on it.
That's funny, not
Because
funny.
guess what? That's politics. So, and I think it might have scathing atheist too. But anyway, so what I'm saying is, viewpoint is not necessarily reflected by advertising. But this guy's too much of a fucking dumbass to know that.
It's funny how, okay, Twitter's non-party centric.
Right.
And obviously Fox News is very Republican party centric, but these things have to be boycotted because they
Well,
were
Twitter can
at
ban
least a little bit liberal.
First of all, Twitter can ban your ass for anything they want.
Yes.
Twitter is a private.
Yes.
They provide you a service. It's worth every penny you pay for it, which is nothing. It's free.
Right.
And they don't have to let you tweet.
Right.
You know, it's not like they have an obligation here to you. So, anyway, let's let it roll.
Target them, just like they do to us. It's time to get hundreds of thousands, preferably millions, preferably 63 million people that voted for Donald Trump to make their voice heard before we are taken off the airwaves and our lives are erased. See, free speech is meaningless. You can argue it's in the Constitution and no one's changed it. It's completely meaningless if you have no advertisers. If liberals write 10,000 letters to every single advertiser saying that if you keep advertising on Sean Hannity and Bill O'Reilly, and if you advertise on WND, boom, we have no free speech.
See, now there you go. If other people have free speech, we have no free speech.
Right.
I mean, because that's what he's saying. We can't have liberals writing letters to advertisers and saying how they feel.
Because then we have no free speech.
Yeah, because liberals need to shut up so we can have our free speech. Because isn't that the letter writer's free speech, saying to the advertiser, look, you support this thing. I don't support this thing. I'm not going to buy your product. That's called free speech, you dumbass. The problem is, and 63 million, really?
That's what that was funny.
Like everybody who voted for Trump is absolutely fucking crazy like you? No. Okay, some of them are, but no. And really, do you want to say, oh, we're going to pull all our numbers together when you lost the popular vote? Because any business worth its salt is going to go with the 65 million people over the 63 million people. Just saying. I mean, it's math, it's numbers, and you don't have them.
If Twitter decides they can take you off take WND off of Twitter because they mention a case where a guy was murdered, then we have no free speech and we have no rights.
Okay, your free speech does not entitle you to come in my living room and make a speech. Wayne, Root. You are not allowed to come into my house and make a speech. You know why? Because it's my forum. I own it. Twitter owns their forum. You don't have a right to be on Twitter. You don't.
And if they don't like that you're lying, then they can boot you off.
They can boot you off for being a dick.
I know.
We think you're a dick.
But
We don't
I'm
want you
just
on.
saying, in this case,
But what
you're
I'm-
full of shit, so they kicked him off.
Yeah. It's kind of like with the speakers at universities. It makes a big difference whether it's a private or a public university. It makes a huge fucking difference. Because you don't necessarily have the right to speak at a private university.
Right.
You know?
You know?
And a friend of mine wrote something so telling today.
Oh, wait. Now he's going to talk about something his friend wrote, and I want you to listen carefully to this, Susie.
He's got a friend.
And those of you who can listen to this.
He's got a friend.
Wayne, I wouldn't be surprised to find out that the left, the Democratic National Committee, Media Matters, Right Wing Watch, Center for American Progress, SEIU, and many other left-wing George Soros paid groups, has gigantic offices in cities all around this country, boiler rooms, with people being paid, making calls and writing emails and sending letters and then licking the letter and putting it in the mailbox to sponsors and newspapers and cable and
Now, why do they always do this? They always assume that we have to be paid to be activists because we don't agree with them. You see, the only people who would do it for free are those that agree with them.
Is that his point?
Yeah, I mean, giant boiler rooms. Why? First of all, why would anybody do that in a boiler room? That doesn't make any fucking sense. If you're in an office, you're in a fucking office. You're not in a boiler room.
Play some more. Play some more.
TV networks all over this country and all over this world to try and destroy the right. They've got boiler rooms of people trying to destroy the right. My friend is brilliant. The guy who wrote this is worth like
Boiler room. What the fuck is with boiler room? First of all, this is the age of the internet. You don't even have to be in an office.
Maybe he's
The
thinking.
last place you're going to be is a fucking boiler room. That's
May-
where the boiler is. That's like the heating room. It's nasty in there.
See,
It's
that's
dusty.
what I
It's
think
dirty.
he's referring to, like sweatshop kind of stuff.
He thinks, dude, I'm doing a fucking podcast. Not only do I not get paid for this podcast, I won't take money for this podcast. You know what? There are people who are activists just cause.
Right.
Because we fucking want to be. Because we disagree with you. And,
Because you're fucking stupid.
and pay attention when, like, the Women's March happens. Those people weren't fucking paid, you idiot. And why wouldn't I know some people that work there? Why wouldn't you know people that work in these big places with the boiler rooms and the letters and licking stamps and shit?
And-
Nobody licks stamps anymore. They're self-adhesive, you dumbass.
Didn't he say licking letters, though? I swear
Why
he
would
did.
you lick the letter?
I don't know.
Email people.
I don't know, $100 million. Brilliant, big time businessman. And he hit the nail right on the head. He continues. Hell, they probably
He did hit the nail on the head. Unfortunately, the nail was nowhere near the board. It was like out in left field somewhere.
even use robots and sophisticated computer software to reach out and send their messages. Why doesn't the RNC?
Now we have liberal robots. The liberal robots are out to get you. We will make you treat people like people. Maybe because robots can get that and you can't.
Maybe.
And right-wing groups backed by wealthy individuals fund our efforts to put all of them out of business. And you know why. I know why. Lazy, cheap, wussy country club rhino a-holes. I'll say it different than the way he said it.
Well, there goes your 63 million, dude, because some of them voted for Trump.
Lots of them
Lots
voted
of
for
them
Trump.
voted for Trump. So he's like, oh, we got to get all of us together except the people I don't want.
Right.
You know, and I don't know. They don't do that. They don't boycott. Wasn't there a big Target boycott recently that they put all over the place and it was coming out? And that's a dog. Oh, hi, Riley.
Hi.
I told you guys Riley was going to make an appearance at some point, and here she is, Miss Riley, in the room. But don't you think that they do that already? So
That's my beer. Yeah.
I mean, the Target boycott.
Yeah. And that was like just the hypocriticalness that they have.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's okay.
I love the kid. I can't help it.
All right,
Riley, can you say hi?
say it in there.
Say right here. Say hi.
That's Riley.
I love this kid. Okay. Give me a smooch. Give me a kiss. Mwah. Mommy, take her, please. Come back. Say, say, I love you. Say, say hi, Granddad. All right.
Bye, baby girl.
All right. You go.
We'll be out in a bit, and we're live. Say hi to the
Oh.
world because we're on YouTube as well.
I'm having a little trouble.
I know, but we
All
are
right.
we are alive here.
I know, but
And
didn't you expect this kind of? All right.
and
Bye, Grammy.
I haven't looked at the thing to see if we had any calls recently, so I better be looking at that screen too. I need another screen. No calls. Good.
Hey, secular yakking. Which job is that?
He said he wants to know how he could get that job.
Yeah, he said, "How do I get that job?" And I'm
Dude,
like,
right? Like, fuck with these people just for
"Oh, yeah,
yeah.
that most definitely." I don't know. You
All
gotta
right.
be a big, super huge dick, though.
Let me finish this clip.
All right, finish the clip.
A-holes. He didn't quite say it that way. He finished the word. We need to hire an attack dog.
Okay, before he goes into this last bit, I just want to say there's no fucking dash in asshole.
He said A-holes.
There's no dash. It's just a hole or it's asshole. Just fucking say it. Be a man.
You know, let him finish the clip now.
This is the part that really is kind of scary.
We need to hire former CIA or NSA or FBI or Navy SEALs that have been involved in counterinsurgency operations all over the world, that have killed people, that understand how to fight, that don't bring a knife to a gunfight, that bring a gun to a gunfight, preferably a shoulder-fired missile to a gunfight, preferably a nuclear weapon to a gunfight. That's not what he wrote. That's what I wrote. That's my addition to this letter.
Why would you want to hire people who have killed people?
I have no idea.
You see what I'm talking about the level of rhetoric and the level of violence that is happening. The talk.
It's. I don't like to say things like this, but it's like Republicans condone violence, kind of.
Well, and I've heard it on the left too. Now let's be fair.
Oh, that's true.
Remember,
the Nazi
thing is
punching
on the left, and
is it an extremist kind of thing? Is it?
I've heard that it's okay to go get violent if there's a speaker at a college you don't like.
So I think there's a big difference. There's like the middle of the line, and then there's the people that kind of condone violence, and then there's the extremists, because like the Nazi punching people, those are the kind of condone violence people, and then there's the extremists that run planes into buildings.
Well, yeah, no, and I'm not saying they're terrorists. They're not to that level, but
that's what I'm saying. They're on both sides, so at least we know they're on both sides.
Yeah,
but we like to say that it's not okay either way.
Yep,
you can't be either way.
And that's pretty much all I got for the news. Now we're going to go to the Bible segment. I'm going to mute our mics, and maybe we'll get the sound working on Blog Talk again. But if not, here's your final warning. Please go to YouTube, because apparently the sound is working there. And we're going to be out for about 12 and a half minutes. If I can ever find the file.
It'll work.
Anyway, enjoy the Bible segment. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about burden of proof. Say bye-bye.
Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hold your breath. Make a wish.
count to 3. Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look, and you'll see into your imagination.
Sorry, kid. I don't believe in fairy tales.
Yeah, I know. The chapter 28, 27.
27.
They're
27. Just getting dumb.
Yeah. Okay, so Judah's gonna serve Nebuchadnezzar. Let's start at the beginning, though.
Right.
This is what the Lord said to Jeremiah.
That's
verse 1.
Yeah.
Verse 2. Make a yoke out of straps and crossbars and put it on your neck.
Now, let me make a comment here because I went through like the next forevers going, why the hell did he do that?
Now, he's wearing this yoke.
Right. He's wearing this yoke to go talk to people. Why? Okay. We don't know.
To go visit like emissaries, like diplomats from foreign countries,
right.
and say, all your countries are going to have to serve Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, because God says so.
Right.
Okay.
Now,
the guy wearing the fucking yoke.
Right.
Yeah.
And like this, it just upset me because it's all about like slavery. Look, he's a slave.
And he says, if you don't serve Nebuchadnezzar in verse 8, he'll punish that nation with sword, famine, and plague until I destroy it by his hand. Okay. And then he starts going into the whole, don't listen to these lying prophets.
Right.
No, listen to the dude who's dressed in a fucking yoke. He's the one who's got the real message. Do you see this is a marketing issue at this point.
I am enslaved, and I have been made to say these things, and you'll listen to them. Why? Because they're the real shit.
Yeah. The guy walking around in a freaking yoke, he's the really real guy. So, do not listen to the words of prophets say to you who say you will not serve the king of Babylon. They're lying, basically. I have not sent them, declares the Lord. I'm 14 and 15 here. They are prophesying lies in my name. Therefore, I will banish you, and you will perish, both you and the liar prophets prophesying. Because don't dress your fucking prophet in a yoke, you dumbass.
Why are they supposed to listen to him? He's wearing a freaking yoke.
And then we get like, I don't know how many verses here at the end. Like
it goes on and on
about the stuff.
Right. That
apparently Nebuchadnezzar came in, snagged the king and the nobles, and didn't take all the stuff, but he's going to come back and take the rest of the stuff. And we have to talk about the stuff.
After he goes over and over and over and over and over, what's the stuff? Then he says, then in 22, he says, they will be taken to Babylon and there will reign until the day I come back for them.
Like, he's going to come back.
Yeah. Like, that's it.
Right. That's the end of that chapter. And it's a good thing.
Yeah.
You look eager to talk about chapter 28.
I liked this chapter. It was like Battle of the Prophets.
It was like a debate.
It was really cool.
Right. So in the 5th month of the same year, the 4th year, early in the reign of Zedekiah, king of Judah, the prophet Hananiah, who was from Gibeon, said to me in the house of the Lord, who's me? No, really, who's me?
I don't know.
I know verse 2, but I don't know who me is.
Right.
Because throughout the rest of this, they refer to Jeremiah in the third person.
Right. Talking to
I don't know who me is.
I think it was a put together thing.
Yeah, I think so. This is what the Lord Almighty, God of Israel, says. I will break the yoke of the king of Babylon. Within 2 years, I will bring back to this place all the articles of the Lord's house that Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, removed from here. Babylon.
Oh, he's in trouble.
He's also going to bring back Jehoiachin, son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, and all the other exiles.
He's in trouble.
The Lord says that. But apparently the Lord doesn't say that.
The Lord didn't say that. Nope.
But how are you supposed to know? Because that sounds like the shit Jeremiah's saying. I mean, he's using the same phraseology and everything. And he's not wearing a fucking yoke.
Yeah, but see, maybe that's the thing. Because Jeremiah said God put the yoke on me.
You have to look at the really crazy ones.
And now Hananiah's going, well, I'm breaking this yoke.
But I mean, and nobody who follows this freaking book does this today.
I know.
They don't go around looking for the craziest dude and going, he's probably from God.
Right.
All right. So, verse 6. Jeremiah says, that's great. I hope God does that.
But
Nevertheless, here, this is weird. Verses like 8, 9 here. From early times, the prophets preceded you have prophesied war, disaster, and plague.
against many countries.
Okay. But the prophet who prophesies peace will be recognized as one truly sent by the Lord only if
his prediction comes true.
So if you say there's war, if you say shit's going bad, you're probably from God.
Right. But if you say that things are going to get better,
Then probably not.
only if it comes true is it him.
Yeah, well, then it's already happened.
Right.
So it's useless knowledge at that point. But then Hananiah breaks his little yoke.
Right. That's not even cool.
And he says, yeah, this is what's going to happen to Nebuchadnezzar. And then Jeremiah leaves.
Right.
But then the word of the Lord comes to him.
Verse 12, right?
Verse 12.
13. Yeah.
12, 13. Yeah. After he breaks the yoke and Jeremiah left, then he gets the word of the Lord. He goes, go tell Hananiah you broke a wooden yoke, but in its place you'll get a yoke of iron.
And not just for you.
Now, Jeremiah, you can't fucking walk away and then come back with a comeback that's like, oh, that one was wood, but it's going to be iron.
Now it's iron, buddy.
It's known as a quip, my friend. If you there is a time limit on comebacks. And usually when you leave the room, that time limit is instantly expired.
That's funny.
Just saying. Right, he like left.
Yeah, and then he came back and he said, "No, iron."
Yeah, I mean, like, you couldn't have thought of that on the spot. Then Jeremiah says to Hananiah the prophet, and I'm wrapping up the chapter here, verse 15. Nuh-uh, God didn't send you. I'm a really real prophet. You're not a really real prophet. And because you're not a really real prophet, you're going to die.
Oh, he says, I'm about to remove you from the face of the earth.
About to.
Right. Watch my hand, bitch.
And verse 17, we finish the chapter with Hananiah the prophet in the 7th month of that same year died.
Ooh.
Now, okay, so that's like 2 months later, right? Because this was in the 5th month.
Right.
This happened. So it's like 2 months, the guy's dead. This would be more impressive if I knew anything about Hananiah.
Right. What if he had heart disease?
What if he was like 92?
Or 180 like some of them are.
Doing his like prophecy thing and he just fucking died.
And he just natural causes rolled over.
And people die. 2 months later? Really? 2 months later he died.
Bill, I prophesied that you were going to die someday.
Right. Oh, wow. Prophesy. I mean, that. It's not that impressive when it's 2 months later.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, well, I mean, if he was saying things that pissed God off and he died right then, if he said, I'm going to remove you from the face of the earth, and he goes, died.
That would be cool.
That'd be a little more impressive.
Yeah.
You might, And so, yes, okay, if Jeremiah said this and then the guy died, we got a post hoc, ergo propter hoc fallacy going on here. All right, so that was the chapter 28. Hope you enjoyed it more than me. Susie did. Okay, chapter 29, Susie. This one was just another pile of shit.
It's just another pile of shit.
Really? Okay. Here's what happened. This is a letter. This whole chapter, well, half the chapter, is a letter from Jeremiah to the exiles in Babylon.
Right.
Basically, settle down. You're going to be there for a while. Because he tells them to build houses, and plant some gardens, and eat what comes out of the garden.
Right. So these are the people that God kicked out, right?
They're definitely going to be there overnight and long enough for a snack.
Right.
Right. So,
right. 70 years about.
Yeah. And he tells them, marry, have sons and daughters, and find wives for your sons, give your daughters away. Yeah. And seek peace and prosperity for that place, because that's your place until God comes for you.
Yeah.
That's basically what he says.
Which happens in verse 10.
70 years, it's going to happen. He's saying it's going to happen. So, okay. And then there's this dude. Wait. Oh, yeah. And anybody who didn't go into exile, fuck them. They're the bad figs.
I just
It
I
comes
didn't
up
like
again
the
in verse
fact-
17.
He kept saying, I did all this bad shit to you. I did all this bad shit to you. Now I'm going to do all this good shit for you. Wouldn't you eventually get tired of this and go, dude, no, just fuck off? Because, oh, well, I exiled you
Yeah, how
and I
about
took
leaving
all
me
this stuff away
alone?
from you. And oh, wait, it's like a battered wife syndrome, you know?
Right.
I'm going to beat up and beat up and beat up on you, but I love you and I'm going to do all this good stuff for you. What? Just stop.
And apparently Ahab
Ahab.
and Zedekiah
Uh-huh.
were prophesying lies, and the king of Babylon burned them in the fire.
Yep.
So,
Because
well,
that's what Nebuchadnezzar does.
yeah, he's a fire dude.
He's the bouncer.
So, because apparently they've done outrageous things in Israel, like committing adultery with their neighbors' wives.
Oh, yeah. And you've uttered lies, which I didn't authorize. Now,
Yeah,
now you know,
exactly.
you didn't utter the lies I told you could.
It's not like the problem isn't that you said lies. I didn't authorize those.
Right.
Lies. Right.
Right.
Which leads us to believe that there are authorized lies.
Right.
Okay. And then Shemaiah says to Zephaniah, hey, dude, you're the priest who's supposed to put any maniac who acts like a prophet in stocks and leg irons. So why haven't you locked up Jeremiah? Because he wrote this letter. This is in verse 26. So why didn't you lock up Jeremiah? But Zephaniah goes to Jeremiah and tells him what Shemaiah says. And basically, Jeremiah uses the ancient Jewish legal liar, liar, pants on fire defense.
Yeah.
There's no he's lying. So he's going to be punished someday. And he won't have no one left. And he won't see any good things.
Because he's preached rebellion.
Right, but he's not. He's saying, this is what the Lord says.
Right.
So, whatever.
Whatever.
Okay, I think I have our problems figured out.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think the only thing I can do now to fix this is maybe disconnect Blog Talk and then reconnect it.
Riley.
Let's try that.
Secular Yakking heard the Wicked Witch clip on Blog Talk Radio.
On BTR?
Please say yes really quick.
All right, well, I guess if it's coming through on BTR, it's okay then. There was something weird, and I think I got it fixed. I don't know. But anyway, for those of you listening in now, there will be a clean copy on iTunes.
Yes, he can hear
by
it.
the end of the weekend.
The Wicked Witch clip was on Blog Talk Radio.
So the Bible came through there.
Yay.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Good deal.
Anyway, there'll be a cleaner copy up later in the weekend because I'll have to put it all back together.
Thanks so much, Secular Yakking, for all your help during our technical difficulties.
Huge help. Huge, huge, huge.
Since Bobby and Ashley were weak, I was texting them and I was like, well, can you hear this? And they barely got back to me because they're
Bible
getting
didn't come in on BTR. Well, the problem is I think for some reason BTR is like listening to me on my condenser mic, not on my mic, not through the audio board. It's just going straight into the computer, straight out. So they can hear what's going on in the room, but they can't hear anything that's going on my computer.
That's very bad.
It's very bad, actually. Yeah.
We
So-
will have this figured out before No
We-
Religion Required does their show on
Hell
Wednesday.
no, I ain't doing that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to disconnect Blog Talk in about a second, and I'm going to try to call back in. And then we're going to go into counterapologetics.
That sounds good.
And I can't. Oh, there we go. You are not connected.
That's what you wanted to see, right?
Yep. I'm going to try to see if Oh, here we go with the ring-in again. This is what you get before the show if you're not listening to the show. But
It's really loud.
I'll edit this crap out.
Your show now, press 1 to hear.
Since it appears you're calling back into a live show, we are reconnecting you now.
Yay. Thanks.
Okay, we are now reconnected, apparently.
So, what do we sound like now?
Yeah, well, that's not the issue. It's can you hear the clips?
Okay, we'll play a clip.
I'm going to play the intro to the counter apologetic segment, which is probably the last clip I have, except for the end theme, which won't be on
All
there.
right, Secular Yakking, let us know if you can hear the intro to the counter apologetic.
And somebody left a dog in the room. How awesome is that? Here it is. Please let us know if you can hear this. This thing is... Oh, I love my granddaughter. I love my granddaughter.
Because you have to know everything or have revelation from somebody does to know anything.
But it's the moment the skeptic, that free-thinking, agnostic, atheist, whatever, begins to challenge the God of the Bible.
Behold, the atheist's nightmare. Everybody believes in God, but some have decided to suppress that truth.
Bill, I just want to let you know that there actually is a book out there that actually tells us where matter came from.
Easy, miss. I've got you.
You've got me. Who's got you?
Welcome to the bar room. I'm Bill here with my co-host Susie. When he does this, he's equivocating.
What we're talking about in a laboratory, there is no other side of the coin.
Right, you're trying to get to the truth.
Right.
Well, you know, facts fucking matter.
In some states, not in Oklahoma.
What they're doing is they're strawmanning natural selection. So back the fuck off before I shove a Nimbus 2000 up your ass and ride you all the way back to Azkaban.
So, well, the counter apologetic segment, which I just killed my entire Google because I think the problem is I think I have to cold boot and reboot the dang computer to make it work.
Well,
but that's obviously not going to happen in the middle of a live show.
That's all right. Let's just breeze through and be happy. What do you say?
Yeah, and you will not hear the end song if you're on BTR. So go to YouTube or call us on.
So our counter apologetic this week is what?
Oh wait, I got to bring BTR back up because I don't even know if somebody's calling. Isn't that funny? Anyway, our counter apologetic this week is from the Manual for Debating Atheists. It's by Mike Manea, M-A-N-E-A. Forgive me if I mispronounced. But I was reading about it today, some of the things he's talking about, and I thought, well, let's talk about it. Let's have some commentary on it. And I am in the midst of signing back in, just in case somebody wants to call in and discuss. There we go. Yeah. Everything's copacetic now.
Just in case you want to call in and discuss, the number is 713-955-0575. Don't call us and tell us how crazy this show has been.
Yeah, because we kind of know that.
We kind of know that. But
Yeah.
if you have a counter apologetic discussion.
Discussion. Yes, that's what I meant. Discussion.
Mike Manea.
Yeah. Okay. I was going through this, just breezing through it, and he says, all right, I'm going to do a couple quotes here. After hundreds of hours of conversation with atheists, I believe I have identified the problem area. The flawed, in my opinion, foundational reasoning that skews the atheist's entire philosophical platform. And I don't believe it's possible to have a meaningful discussion without addressing the difference first. I agree with him. There's a difference in foundational reasoning. I don't agree that mine is flawed and his is correct. Right?
Right.
All right. Here are his. All right.
What are we discussing? The
burden of proof.
Burden of proof.
Yeah, this is from a Christian writing about how to debate atheists. So I thought it was valid.
Concerning the burden of proof.
He gets into that. Here's what he says our foundational reason. The problem is our foundational reason. Since the theist is the one making a claim that God exists, the burden of proof is entirely on him to support that claim.
Right.
If the theist cannot meet this burden of proof, then he is wrong, and atheism is the only rational position. See, that's number one. I think he goes off the rail with the second part.
Right.
Nobody says that that's the only rational position.
Right.
What we say is if you can't meet your burden of proof, then you haven't supported your claim.
Right. Exactly.
So I have no reason to believe your claim.
Have you been in a courtroom?
Number two, The claim that God exists is an extraordinary claim, and extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence.
Okay.
Carl Sagan. Yeah.
True.
Carl
Very
Sagan said
true.
that. 3, the only trustworthy and therefore only acceptable form of evidence is scientific evidence.
Nobody said that either.
No, nobody says that. It's the best.
It's the most effective.
It's the best form of evidence. Yeah, absolutely.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
Exactly. But what else you got? You got a he said, she said at the after. That's all you have. You have hearsay and tons of it, but it's all hearsay. Okay, so here's where he's going to tell us what's wrong with the reasoning. The demand for scientific evidence, while reasonable, place certain limits on the discussion. God's existence would need to be determined either by something God is currently doing or based on his past actions in creation. Well, yes. Here's the thing. If this God doesn't interact with our reality, I don't care.
That's true.
Why would I care about a thing that has no effect on me and no effect on the reality that I live in? If there's no interaction at all, then yeah, why would I care about this thing?
That's true.
And then he talks about, okay, thus, the burden of proof is not only on the theist to demonstrate God exists, but also on anyone who thinks there's a better explanation for how things came to be. Yeah, that would be true.
Right?
That would be true. If I were purporting to tell you how things came to be, then yes, I would have a burden of proof there.
Right. All an atheist is saying is that God doesn't exist.
Or I don't believe God exists.
Right.
I don't believe that claim. That just seems a weird claim to me. It's just
we're not stating a claim of how it started.
Yeah.
We're just saying that how you say it started is bullshit. So
pretty much, yeah. Yeah. Or at least you haven't supported your damn claim.
Right?
You haven't. Okay, here's the preliminaries. Ready? Number 1, this is how to debate an atheist. Break the debate in 2 parts. Does A, God exist? And B, can this God be the God of Christianity? Now, Christians must do this. I agree with him. They have to do this. Do you know why?
No.
Because the proofs that they're going to use for God will contradict the proofs they're going to use that it's the Christian God. So unless you get through the there is a God part, and then, okay, well, here's why it's a Christian God, the two will conflict. And they can't have that. That's why they have to do that.
Right. I get that.
And I'm gonna chime in from an atheist standpoint. First of all, define what God is. Define this thing you are trying to prove. Define your claim.
That should always be step number 1, right?
Right. And if your claim is the Christian God exists, guess what? You've put them together.
Good luck proving that.
If it's a God, but okay, I'm claiming the Christian God exists, but first let's start with just a God exists. Well, no, because you have claimed not a God exists, but this particular God exists.
Right.
You don't get to claim to prove your claim piecemeal, and then when I point out something, say, "Oh, that's for later." First, you have to concede that a God exists. No, I don't, because you're not claiming an a God exists. You're claiming a particular God exists. Agree on what constitutes acceptable evidence and start with a blank slate. I do agree with him on this point. You should agree on what constitutes evidence. Logical arguments can be evidentiary, sure. And there needs to be some standard of evidence. I think so. And he's saying logical and scientific. Is what he would agree to. And all right. And yeah, a lot of Christians don't follow. He admits a lot of Christians don't follow it either. So, and he does make a very valid point here. Listen to this part. I'm going to quote here. Quote, Christians assume the atheist is somehow obligated to accept biblical evidence or experiential evidence right off the bat. Christians tend to take many things for granted in these debates, not realizing that it's because they already believe in God and that those things seem true.
Right.
Agreed. Well put.
That is true.
Nothing can be, when talking with atheists, however, nothing can be presupposed. The discussion starts with a completely blank slate. It should, but I don't believe he does. All right. Now, establish burden of proof. This is interesting. And he does credit the phrase extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence to Carl Sagan. Yeah. So what he's saying is, all right, here's the analogy, and I've heard this analogy, other people use it before. Ready? Here's the story. Imagine that X, Y, and Z are underground workers. 3 people.
Okay.
That's their names. That gets stuck in a tunnel when the ceiling collapses. Period.
Okay.
It takes emergency personnel several days to break them out. And when they finally get to them, they discover that Z is dead with multiple stab wounds in the back.
Okay.
When the investigation is over, it's clear that Z was murdered.
Okay.
And that the murder happened just hours before the tunnel was reopened. And that there was no one else in the tunnels that could have done it other than X
or
and
Y. Okay.
Now, what if X went to trial and made the following argument? According to the law, I am innocent until proven guilty, and therefore, unless you can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that I am the one who did it, then I am not guilty, and Y has to be the murderer. The flaw in the way atheists approach this debate is that the existence of God is not an isolated claim.
That's
as in someone somewhere exists. The God concept stems from necessity and is offered as one explanation for existence.
That's already wrong.
As extraordinary as the God claim seems, it is no more extraordinary than alternative claims. If the atheist disagrees, then it's his job to debate, to demonstrate otherwise.
If you prove that X didn't do it, that doesn't prove that Y did. It just proves that X didn't.
So in essence, this debate cannot be framed simply as God does not exist. We have to start with one known in the equation, mainly that we, our planet, and the universe as a whole exist. All right, yeah, we all exist.
Right? But that doesn't mean God made us.
It doesn't. No, it doesn't. And then he says it's a debate between theism and naturalism. Of course that's what he wants. Of course that's what he wants. But here's why his analogy is so bad.
It just started wrong.
Right. Thus, the burden of proof, here we go. Here's his conclusion. Get this. Thus, the burden of proof rests equally on each participant, and conclusions are drawn by contrasting alternative explanations rather than evaluating just one of the explanations against some exaggerated standard.
Nope.
Except you're offering a positive explanation. I'm not offering an explanation of where the freaking universe came from.
Okay, so to break this down into something simple that us younger crazy people can understand. I have 4 children. Okay.
Uh-huh.
I had a box of chocolate chip cookies.
Mm-hmm.
There was nobody in the house except these 4 children, and someone ate my box of chocolate chip cookies.
Right.
Okay. One of my children proves beyond the shadow of a doubt, because he was asleep and he had a time monitor on, or he was locked in his room, that he didn't eat the chocolate chip cookies.
Right.
The other 2 of them were together,
mm-hmm.
and they said, we didn't eat the chocolate chip cookies either. Does that mean that the one that was left ate the chocolate chip cookies? Not necessarily.
No,
right?
No, and here's why the analogies, both yours and his, are terrible. They're horrible. He's going through a list of all the things we know and how we've eliminated every other possibility.
Uh-huh.
First of all, that's a naturalistic explanation.
Okay.
He's totally discounted any supernatural explanations there.
But that's good.
To prove his supernatural point, he's just discounted any supernatural explanations in his analogy. But here's the thing. We don't know that much about how the universe came to be. We don't know that. We don't have it down to 2 explanations. We just don't know.
Is that the Sith thing?
Nobody knows. Theists don't know how the universe came to be. Okay? And if they claim they do, then just simply ask them how. And when the word God comes out of their mouth, say, I didn't ask who, I asked how. Ask how God did it, if God did it. How did it happen? You don't know anything about how it happened. You can't explain to me the mechanics of it. You can't explain to me what happened.
You just think you know who did it.
You just throw in a who on there. Okay, and that's all you know. So there's no two people in the damn tunnel. There's an infinite number of people in the tunnel. A thing has happened, not a murder, because we've seen murder. How do they know it was a murder? How do they know it was stab wounds? Because they've seen other stab wounds before.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only reason that, like, the police, when they look at stab wounds, would know it's stab wounds. If you'd never seen a stab wound before, how would you know what a stab wound looks like?
That's true.
So we have exactly one universe that has been connected, or that has been started. We have nothing else to compare it to. So a thing which you have no idea about happened, and there are some number of possible explanations, which possible explanations may very well be infinite. And yet you and I have an equal chance of being right. How is that? How is that possible? And I'm not even offering one. I don't know how the universe got here. You're claiming to know something.
Then it's up to you to be able to prove
it. It's on
it.
you to show what you know. If you don't know anything, that you have a theory that best explains how the universe got here, does it matter? My question is, does it matter if your theory is true? You get me there?
Mm-hmm.
He's making a case to why God is the explanation for the universe. Does it matter if that's true? Because if it doesn't matter if that's true, if truth has no bearing, I will beat him every time in a debate. I will simply make up a theory of how the universe came to be here that better fits the fact than God.
Right.
If it doesn't have to be true, I mean,
and if you're quick on your feet,
I'll have mystical elves in there, time travel.
But what do you say to the person who absolutely believes that that's true?
What?
How can you determine that his truth is not the real truth?
Again, this is about the debating and burden of proof.
That's what I'm saying. If he says that my truth is the truth,
that you believe it doesn't make it true. Belief doesn't make a thing true. Belief doesn't make a thing false. Disbelief doesn't make a thing false. It has no bearing. Things are true or not true.
And how are they true or not true? See? What makes them true or not true?
It was God or not God. You know what I'm saying?
What makes true or not true?
We don't know. We don't know what's true and not true as far as where the universe came from.
So then God could be true, right? If we don't know what's true or not true.
But if they can't show that it is true.
Right.
That's the problem. Okay, I'm not asking which better fits
because
the fact. Which explanation
we don't have to
fact.
show that it's not. Right?
What he's saying is we need to take these two explanations and see which better fits.
No.
No.
Not necessarily, no.
We need to show what's true.
And since we don't know.
That's why they throw that out, the true thing.
Right.
Because he hasn't addressed that.
Right.
And here's another thing. And he goes, otherwise we can play that game as well. Can the atheist show beyond a shadow of a doubt that naturalism is true? Well, yeah, it's true. If not, then a God must exist. Well, see, now he's getting a little stupid here. Naturalism states there's nothing beyond the natural world. It's just natural. You know, there's no supernatural, right?
That considers crazy precept people.
However, it's not a question of whether naturalism is true or a God exists. It's naturalism is true or naturalism is not true. Do you see the difference there?
Yes.
This is very important in debating and logic, because it does not follow that if naturalism is not true, then a God must exist. There could be a supernatural something, realm, whatever, call it what you will, some supernatural thing, yet no God. So it does not follow that naturalism is false, God must be true. So it doesn't follow at all. So that's why he concludes with, therefore, this debate is not theism versus atheism, but theism versus naturalism. No, sir. No, sir. Naturalism could be false, and theism could also be false. So there's not a versus there at all.
Right.
They could both be wrong.
Right.
It is theism versus atheism. In other words, theism versus not theism.
Right.
It's theism is true or theism is not true, and you can't show that it's true, and that's the problem. They have no. I see nothing here where he's trying to show that he cares about whether it's true. He already believes it's true, so therefore,
right.
He's trying to find a way to show you he's right, not that what he's saying is true. And here he goes, no default position. The point is somewhat similar to previous, but warrants its own section. There are times when the atheist will go along with theism versus naturalism setup, yet will still debate as if naturalism should be considered the default option. Sorry, sir, it is the default option. In fact, in your XYZ example, it was naturalistic. Oh, well, we did the forensics. We showed nobody else could be there. We found out the time of death. Well, what if there was a demon?
Right.
You know, what if it was a ghost? What if the body temperature fairies came back in, warmed up the body, and guy was already... You don't know any of this stuff because naturalism may not be true. No, you took a naturalistic approach to a problem.
When you have a
approach,
supernatural
if you will.
answer.
Yeah, to show a supernatural thing. So no, you don't get to do that. And naturalism...
What if the theist believes that God is not supernatural?
Yeah, I don't think you're going to find a theist that believes that. By definition, God is outside nature.
Okay.
What is he then? Subnatural?
I don't know.
And I get it. He's saying, well, if you discount the supernatural, then... And yes, naturalism is true in essence, in that the theist and the atheist agree on all the precepts of naturalism. We can both do science, can't we?
Right.
Okay, so we agree that everything within naturalism is true. Theists simply add an extra component, the supernatural. It's not. So basically, they agree to naturalism plus. The only part of naturalism they don't agree to is that there isn't anything beyond it. But everything within the scope of nature and naturalism, they agree to. So I don't know why they would say, oh, you have to show that's true. You already agree it's true. You already agree that scientific naturalism, the way we do experiments in science. Okay, we do the experiment, we record the results, we see if our predictions are true. We don't put a supernatural factor in there.
Right.
Might have been the fairies. We're not sure. No, we don't do that. So we all agree that works. We all agree that that's the way our natural world works. You're proposing an extra thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like...
But their extra thing is like the fairies.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely.
We don't put the fairies in. You can't put God in.
And then he goes into that naturalistic assumptions aren't confirmed because supernaturalism or belief in God no way implies that everything in nature has to function through supernatural means. Nobody says everything has to function through supernatural means.
I don't even
Show me
understand
something
that
does function through supernatural means is what I'm saying.
I don't even understand that. Nothing functions through supernatural means.
And here's the thing. Here he goes into this. Consider the most extreme situation possible, a universe where God supplied only the initial conditions and everything else occurred naturally from there, and no further interference. Well, that's not. First of all, that's not what you claim exists.
But God didn't do that. So why should I consider that?
You know, a God could have done that. See, here's the problem. They're using that to prove God exists. Remember I talked about the two-parted debate? Okay, well, what about a God that something had to start the universe. No, my friend. You don't believe in that God any more than I do. We both agree that a God who just started the universe and then took off doesn't exist. For different reasons, but we both fucking agree it doesn't exist. So why are you even trying to prove that? Because what you're going to do is you're going to get me to say, oh, well, that kind of God could exist. And then you're going to show me that it doesn't really exist. Because then they're going to try to flip the debate on you when they start proving the Christian God is the God. Nobody thinks that. Well, not nobody. Deists think that. But they don't think that, and I don't think that. So why are we even talking about something we agree on? Okay, here's number 8. I like this here. Define God and the supernatural. Another problem often comes up in these debates today is use faulty definitions of the supernatural. We use faulty definitions, so they do this in several ways. They equate the supernatural with magic, fairy tales, and overall nonsense by definition.
That's what it is.
The supernatural cannot exist because nonsense cannot exist. Further debate is
superfluous.
I'm having a little mouth trouble. Yeah. Surplus. I can't say surplus.
I can't either.
You know what I mean, right?
Yep.
I don't know why. I just can't say it today. Because of the way the word is defined. Okay, B. They define the supernatural as something that would be unable to affect the natural world since only physical causes can have physical effects. This is a purely arbitrary definition and makes supernatural irrelevant from the start.
Okay.
They define the supernatural as a scientific blind spot. In this way, the supernatural cannot really exist. There's only a matter of time before science figures it out and it becomes natural. Yeah. No. I don't define the supernatural that way. I recognize that some things considered supernatural are magic, fairy tales, and nonsense.
Right?
Some things considered supernatural are those things. If the supernatural can affect the natural world, show me how. Show me the mechanism by which one affects the other. I don't know. That's B. And C, I also recognize that many things once thought to be supernatural did in fact turn out to be scientific blind spots. What is it Minchin says? Throughout history, every mystery ever solved has turned out to be not magic.
Right.
Every time we've ever solved something and figured out what it actually is, it's turned out to be not supernatural. That's a 100% correlation at this point. We've never solved a problem and definitively determined it's supernatural. There's your problem. So a more coherent working definition of the supernatural, here you go, is something not confined to the fundamental forces of our universe. Or to say, this is the definition he wants to use when he's debating atheists. Any phenomenon which has a basis in entities and processes that transcend the spatio-temporal realm of impersonal matter and energy described by modern science. Why would I care about something like that?
I don't know.
So when it comes to God, since we're currently debating the existence of the generic God and not some specific version of God, an appropriate definition. Now, folks, don't fall for this. I understand why he wants to split the two debates apart. But here's the thing. They don't believe in a generic God. It's dishonest. We're debating the existence of a generic God. Do you believe a generic God exists? I don't.
Well, they don't. They always have a religion in mind.
Right. They don't believe a generic God exists. They believe the Christian God exists.
Or the Muslim God exists. Or
well, this guy's a Christian.
Yeah.
This is from a Christian perspective. All right, so here's his appropriate definition of an intelligent being that is not confined to our material universe, but has a capacity to create such a universe. Whether God is good or bad, or whether he is omnipotent, omniscient, or omnipresent, or omnibenevolent, does not matter at this point, since if an evil, less than all-powerful God exists, the atheist is still wrong. Yep, he's right. If it exists, so show me that one exists. I mean, why does God have to be intelligent? Why does intelligence have to reflect into how did the universe come to be? Did it have to be an intelligent act? Why?
Secular Yakking has a comment. He says they need the deistic God to be able to promote religion in government, as in God we trust under
That's
God.
true. That's
He
true.
also says that's the only argument I get when I oppose IGWT. I don't know what that is. On police cars and in God we trust on police cars and city councils.
Don't lean back in the middle of a sentence. I know. Okay, so let's talk about his definition.
Deistic.
Of God.
Oh, that's what he
Deistic,
said.
yeah,
Okay.
Deistic.
Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, the deistic God is he started everything and left. That's the what I'm talking about. Remember I was talking earlier, the God who just started everything and took off. But why does that? All right. What we have, according to everything he's saying, is we have a universe that exists and we exist.
Right.
And it had to start somehow.
And God did it.
An intelligent being. Why does it have to be intelligent?
Because idiots can't start anything.
The Hawaiian Islands were formed by volcanoes. Are they intelligent? Are volcanoes intelligent? No. But yet they form islands. There doesn't have to be intent. Everything we know from studying our universe, there doesn't have to be intent.
Bill, God made the Hawaiian Islands.
Shut up. It were made by volcanoes. I know how it worked. Anyway. Not confined to our material universe. Well, then explain to me what it's confined to and what's outside the material universe that it's in. Because it sounds like you're just making shit up at this point.
You're just making shit up at that point.
I don't know that there's anything outside our material universe. I have no idea. Haven't got a clue. So explain it to me. Has the capacity. Well, okay. Yeah. The thing that started the universe had to be able to start the universe. Yep. Give you that. But see, I can come up with a better story than a God.
Yep.
If the criteria that it has to be true is removed, and I haven't heard that yet from anything he said. So here it is. Are you ready? Particle physicists have theorized that some tachyons, theoretical particles, can actually travel backward in time. Backward. Particles can go backward in time.
Okay.
And if we haven't discovered these theoretical particles yet, it is entirely possible that at some point in the future we will. And we will be able to send. And there were some articles I read on in physics that some scientists have claimed they've actually sent light particles like a few seconds backwards in time. So given an infinite amount of time in front of us, and we don't know how infinite it is, but given a long time in front of us, at some point we may actually create a device which can send more than particles back in time.
Right.
But I don't know what it would take. What would it take to create a universe? I mean, how much stuff has to go back?
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. We don't know how it happened. So they assume it had to be a massive amount of energy, but I'm not sure that it did because I don't know. And neither does anybody else. So maybe at some point in the future, we will do something, send something back in time, which will actually start the universe we're in now. Grandfather paradox. There you go. But isn't that more plausible than a God?
Yep.
Because nothing that I just mentioned, except the
to
particles,
me, it's more plausible than a God.
the particles and the machinery to do it doesn't exist yet.
But to a
But we
theist-
do.
to a theist, they like to believe more in the
Right, because theists 300 years ago knew all about nuclear fission.
right,
And knew that nuclear bombs could destroy entire cities.
right,
Right? Because that wasn't something a human could ever do, or fly, or go to the moon. We have done things in the past century that 2-3 centuries back were unimaginable to most people.
right.
Were crazy talk.
Mhm.
So who's to say how far we're going to go? Maybe we did create the universe. I know we exist. Humans exist. Humans have invented things heretofore unimaginable. Therefore, we may invent something in the future
That's heretofore unimaginable.
that ends up creating the very universe we're sitting in.
Right.
Simple. True? I doubt it. But again, if truth isn't a criteria, my explanation is simpler, Occam's razor, and is more verifiable.
Cool.
And it means a bunch of hairless apes actually caused the universe to happen. Oh, here's number 10. I love this here. I'm really loving this.
I'm glad.
The idea here is that any atheist argument applies to the God of the deist would apply to the theist God as well, while the reverse is not necessarily true. Focusing on the deist God first allows us to isolate the arguments and determine what part of the atheist case is strongest. I don't care about the deist God. I'll eliminate that for you already. Don't care. If a God existed at the beginning of the universe, what was it, 13, 14 billion years ago, and no longer exists or is no longer around, why do I care? I also don't care about T-Rexes. Not worried about them.
Yeah.
I have no concern over Tyrannosaurus Rex at all. You know why? Because he's been fucking dead for 65 million years. I don't care about that. You're claiming that you don't believe the deist God exists. You believe your God exists. Not only that he's actively involved in my life today. He's actively watching when I fucking masturbate. So let's be clear. No, you're not isolating the deist God because you don't believe in the damn deist God either. This is dishonest.
Wait, hold on. I'm confused. A deist God. What's the difference between a deist God and
the deist
Christian God?
The deist God, the deist concept is a God started the universe.
Right.
That's all he ever did.
Really?
Yeah, he didn't do anything else.
So how come a Christian believes that the deist God started the universe?
He doesn't. See, that's the thing. He doesn't actually believe that. He believes his God started the universe.
Right.
But he's trying to prove the deist God to move you closer to his God. See?
Right.
And then he'll make the next argument. And then he'll make the next argument. And then he'll make the next argument. It's like he's layering a shit sandwich here. And the problem is, if you look down, if you cut it down, he contradicts himself along the way. But it doesn't matter because we're only dealing with this layer right now.
Oh, okay.
See?
I see.
It's like Scientology, you know? They draw you in with the self-help shit.
And then they go
And then you get to Xenu, the fucking galactic
Xenu,
overlord.
the fucking galactic
It's
overlord.
exactly like that.
And people throwing themselves into volcanoes. Yes.
Oh, here's one. He's going to talk about the argument from ignorance. Ooh, love it. When discussing something that science does not have a good explanation for, the atheists will often tell you that just because science cannot come up with a naturalistic explanation for something does not mean that this something did not occur naturally anyway. And that is true. Wait. But neither does it mean that it did. Yes, it does.
Okay, so you said that too fast for me.
When
Not that slow. How about
when discussing something science does not have a good explanation for,
okay,
the atheist will often tell you that just because science cannot come up with a naturalistic explanation for something does not mean this something did not occur naturally anyway. And that is true, he says.
Okay.
And then he goes, but neither does it mean that it did. Excuse me?
Right?
Everything we have an explanation for, a firm explanation for, occurred
Occurred.
naturally.
Yeah.
We don't have
I get that.
explanations for anything that didn't occur naturally. Again, back to mention, sometimes the atheist will argue, I don't know is a perfectly good answer. because it is. And it is in science. It's much better to admit ignorance and make stuff up. However, the atheist must understand that I don't know does not provide any additional weight to his position in this debate. It's not a debate. If we start off with the balance is set at 50-50 for theism versus naturalism, no. See, again, here's his problem. He said it's theism versus not theism.
Right.
Theism versus atheism. Because, again, naturalism could be false and theism could be false, so it's not a 50-50. What are you 50-50ing? Out of what? Theism is one possible explanation for how the universe came to be here.
Right.
Out of how many others?
A gazillion.
An unknown. Possibly infinite number. In fact, it is an infinite number of possible explanations.
Right.
If we don't confine ourselves to the natural world, I could think up explanations until I die and still not be done. Because I could just make shit up.
Right.
And they'd all be possible explanations. So theism doesn't get 50 points out of that. It's one out of an infinite number of explanations. And no, and here's the thing. Let's say it's 1 million explanations. Let's bring it down to an actual number. Let's say there's 1 million possible explanations of how the universe came here. That if you and I sat here for 3 years, we could think of 1 million. One of them's theism. So we don't start at 50-50. We started at 1 to 999,999.
Right.
That's the teeter, buddy. And then he calls atheism a cult.
This guy's got a lot to say, huh?
Yeah, it's a whole book. And I'm just reading chapter 1.
Wow.
Cult-minded people are especially difficult to reason with for specific reasons.
Thank you, God cult.
It's a cult mindset is what he's saying. They hold a belief system that flows logically from a set of flawed foundational premises. Given those premises, their worldview is most logical worldview. And if, however, the flawed premises are attacked, such persons are unlikely to actually evaluate these premises. Well, you could just as well be talking about Christianity. See, here's the problem. Whose premises are flawed?
Right.
Show me where my premises are flawed. Really?
We really got into this, huh?
I know, right? This is a good one. Wow.
You're reading.
He's talking about, I want to read this. I want to get this to you properly. He's talking about atheism as a cult. And these are the 3 phases. The evaluation phase, where they're not fully convinced, yet even if they speak or act as if they are. The uncertainty phase, after holding these views for some time, they might reach a stage where they're no longer sure as they once were. The full immersion phase is in the middle.
That's kind of like Christianity.
Right. Now, I must acknowledge this does not apply to all atheists. It could be applied just as much to many Christians or theists. How about, most? How about most? Most Christians are not intellectual about their beliefs.
Right. It's all based on faith.
And I don't think he's addressed a single flawed premise that I subscribe to. I think he added his own shit into them.
Right.
Let's go back to the premises one more time so I can sum up.
All right.
Since the theist is the one making a claim that God exists, the burden of proof is entirely on him to support that claim. That is true. I'm sorry. If you're making, and you're not making a claim that a God exists, you're making a claim
that yours exists.
Your specific God exists. And the theist meets this burden, then he is wrong. No, he's not wrong. He has simply not met his burden. And I have no reason to believe him.
Wait, he said if the theist meets his burden, then he's wrong.
If he can't meet his burden, then
if
he's wrong. He's saying that's our mindset. No.
Then he hasn't met his burden. That's all.
No. And then atheism is the only rational position. No, sorry. The Christian could be wrong, and the Muslim could be right, and then atheism isn't the only rational position. Prove your claim. That's all we're saying. The only trustworthy and therefore only acceptable form of evidence is scientific. Nope. Nobody says the only one. It's just the best. And finally, the claim that God exists is an extraordinary claim. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary. Yeah, absolutely. If you want to tell me that a thing exists that created the universe and you know it, you better bring your big guns, because that's the biggest claim there is. And that's all I got on this one. I hope you enjoyed it. Anyway, I'll put a link to his unapologetics and manual for debating.
Well, it
atheists.
was very informational.
But these are the kind of things he's talking about.
My eyes only glossed over for a little while.
Oh, shoot. They'll be in the show notes. Anyway, if you're listening to this on Blog Talk, well, hopefully you haven't listened this long on Blog Talk. We're going to put the good version out on iTunes, hopefully by the end of the weekend. It's going to take me longer than usual. Many thanks to Secular Yakking for sticking around in the chat room.
Yeah.
And anybody else who's been on here for all this time. We do appreciate it. Susie, how do they contact us?
If you want to contact us on Facebook, we have a Facebook page, Barroom Atheist. I'm sure you all know of it. We also have our individual Facebook pages. Bill is Bill Robbins. I am Susie Robbins. You can get us.
Neat how we do that. Yeah.
Isn't that cool? So if you want to contact us by email, Bill is bill.robbins819@gmail.com, and I am sbirry, SBIRRY, @yahoo.com. If you're going to tell us something about the show, it's best that you hit us both up at the same time. Bill has a Twitter, which is Shaper079.
Yeah.
That he argues with some theists on and gets a little crazy. If you want to follow him,
not too much lately, but I'll get back on that.
Also, if you want show updates, Barroom Atheist is at Barroom Atheist is Twitter.
Yep.
If you want to call, we have a voicemail line, and give Bill 1 second, and he will pull up that number for you.
It's 484-352-2004.
And we'd always like to hear a voicemail from anyone on that voicemail line.
And we have a couple of entrants for the reading the Bible with us thing.
Right.
It's going to happen soon because we're almost out of Bible verses.
Yes.
Almost time to record.
We need to start recording more Bible. If you would like to record Bible with us.
I'm going to announce on the next show, because you guys heard through chapter 29 today. There's only 3 chapters left that we already recorded.
All right.
So next show will be the last one, and then we're going to have our new person. Not saying who that is.
But if you would like to record the Bible with us, if you want to sit in and listen to the Bible, send us a little clip of you reading the Bible
or something. Yeah, just
something
talking for a minute.
Right. And
we're really checking your audio quality as well.
Right. And we'll listen to it and we'll let you know. And then you can come and read the Bible with us and we will have a great time. Jeremiah has been a guest with us reading Jeremiah. That was pretty cool.
Yep.
And we have, like Bill said, a secret upcoming person who may read the Bible.
Well,
with
actually,
us.
there's a couple people, and I'm racking and stacking and putting them on the list. And yeah.
And just so you know, I'd like to reiterate, please, if you say you're sad because we don't have a Patreon account and you really want to give us money, please donate to Eric Engelsted's GoFundMe account.
Yeah.
You can reach that. It'll be in the show notes. So, Bill, what else you got, babe?
That's all I got.
Okay.
You got anything else?
I got nothing else. I am all out of energy.
With that, I'm Bill.
And I'm Susie.
Stay reasonable, my friends.
You're pissing me off, man. Fuck.
I bang on the door, but you won't let me in. 'Cause you're sick and tired of me drinking up gin. Lock all the doors from the front to the back. And left me a note telling me I should pack. I walk in the bar and the fellas all cheer. Order me up a whiskey and beer. You ask me why I'm writing this story. Fuck you, I'm drunk for my beer down the sink. I've got more in the trunk. Fuck you, I'm drunk. Fuck you, I'm drunk, and I'm going to be drunk till the next time I'm drunk. You've given me an option. You say I must choose between you and the liquor. Then I'll take the bullshit. Jumping on Western down to the south side, where I'll sit down and exercise my Irish pride. Fuck you, I'm drunk. Fuck you, I'm drunk for my beer down the sink. I've got more in the trunk. Fuck you, I'm drunk. Fuck you, I'm drunk, and I'm going to be drunk till the